welcome to the Secretariat of the Nation Builders. As always, we're delighted to have you here. I would like to acknowledge the contribution you've made to the growth of our organization and also all the work that has been going on, and the fact that you're able to offer us the medium to sort of relay the contributions that have been made by our nation builders, as we call them, in applications to the development of now to the substance. I mean, this morning we gathered here for a reason. And I'm sure if you're looking at the backdrop, you will see the reason we gathered here. So I'm going to be very brief, and then we can take some questions. I should have started with hurry, because we're old. The scheme called the Nation Builders Corps, or NABCO, as everyone calls the organization, is a year old on October 17th. I am sure that people still recall the scenes at the Black Star Square on October 17, 2018, when His Excellency, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa, declared 100,000 young men and women ready for work and commissioned the Corps, which is the Corps for Nation Building, to work in certain critical sectors of our country, in education, in health, in agriculture, in private enterprise, in local governance, in the digitization space, among others. And since then, I'm sure we've all become familiar with the sort of valuable contributions that are being made across the country by these young individuals. But it's important to underscore the context. I mean, NABCO was born out of a very difficult situation. Ahead of the launch of the scheme called the Nation Builders Corps on May Day 2018, the country was faced with a very difficult situation where we had growing numbers of our young tertiary graduates being unemployed and struggling to join the labor market. Within this context, the President prioritized employment or job creation as the main focus of his administration, and offered 100,000 opportunities to start with for us to recruit these tertiary qualified graduates into the talent pool called the Nation Builders Corps. Since then, we deployed them from November 2018. There were two aspects of the program. One aspect was to make sure that they were guaranteed work placement, so all trainees who were enrolled onto the program were supposed to be exposed to the real world of work, and so they were guaranteed work placement, lasting over 24 months. In addition to that, because of the recognition that the ultimate goal of the scheme was to deliver on employability, the arrangement was also that it was critical to recognize the sort of deficits that, for example, created the barrier of these graduates into employment. And so NABCO was supposed to also look at a way of addressing some of the deficits. And so the structure of the scheme was to have a work and learn arrangement. So you're given an opportunity to experience the real world of work, as well as undergo structured training to make sure that we're able to address the sort of challenges that can come out of the labor market, so that by the end of their time, the 36-month period the scheme was supposed to last for every corps, were able to then address the problem, so by themselves they could exit the scheme into their chosen careers. And for us, a year on, I think that there is a good story to tell. We'll be celebrating. His Excellency the President has agreed to honor the Nation Builders on Thursday by marking the first anniversary of the scheme. I think that the major focus of this is to signal and bring clarity to the sort of exit arrangements too, because the scheme is temporary and all NABCO trainees who are enrolled onto it were supposed to follow the program for 36 months and then exit into some of the areas we thought were appropriate. So, for example, the majority of them, you realize currently based on data, we have are gaining retention in their current places of work, and that is the arrangement. We hope that one exit arrangement is to seek retention within their current places of work. The other aspect of the exit arrangement is every NABCO trainee is also given some kind of training and capacity building and empowerment to ensure that they can also look at the aspect of entrepreneurship or self-employment, and that is equally key to what we're doing within the scheme. But of course, I mean, there are also a lot who would be interested in pursuing some kind of further learning, academic to be able to improve their chances. And so these are the exit arrangements. For us, the excitement is on October 17. This anniversary is not the usual fanfare associated with anniversaries. We're sort of marking the event as a moment of reflection. And so what you will witness as well is a launch of the NABCO Learning Platform, which is the NABCO Skills and Talent Academy. We call it the NSTA Pathways, and it's deliberate. The reason is we're sort of trying to signal to all the trainees that it's also important in the same way or to the full extent that they pay attention to their workplace, and they're also supposed to follow this sort of training arrangement and learning opportunities, which will also lead to an exit certification. So they can gain the sort of value addition to their base qualifications with which they entered the program, the Nation Builders Code in the first instance. And so that is basically why we're here this morning, is to invite you to officially join us in His Excellency the President on Thursday and Friday to mark the first anniversary at the National Theatre. But also to indicate that the major focus of the anniversary is to give NABCO now the full complement of its mandate. That is, the work bit has been achieved by the work placement, and now we're moving on to the learning bit, which is mandatory for all NABCO trainees. Every NABCO trainee that has signed onto this program is supposed to follow the structured learning program to assist us in preparing them for their exit. And so you'd see today I'm flanked by other people who probably are not usually associated or known with NABCO, but they're here because we have a partnership, and during the question and answer sessions, we'll address those. We have a partnership with one of the very strong organizations that lead in the skill development bit of our country, and that is the Kofi Annan Center for Excellence. And they're here, the DG, the Director General is here, Mr. Idujan, and we'll take questions on the sort of collaborations, because we're also trying to make sure that we're building a very strong and competent future workforce. And where else to look than look at the sort of local arrangements that you have to make that reality, instead of always trying to seek external partnership first before you consider the local context. And that is the reason we called for the briefing this morning. So thank you very much for coming, and you should join us in celebrating the contribution of our dear nation builders. I wanted to start by challenging everyone if you know the NABCO anthem, but I realized that looking at your faces, not that many people knew the NABCO anthem. So we have an anthem that we usually would start with. So it goes like, you say, when I say NABCO, you say, I am a nation builder. The second time, I am a nation builder. The third time, you say, we are the nation builders. So let's try it, and then I'll stop talking. NABCO.
I am a nation builder.
NABCO.
I am a nation builder.
NABCO.
We are nation builders.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. So we can deal with the. So at this stage, what I would like us to also do is we can officially exchange. We have an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with the Kofi Annan Center for Excellence to assist us as one of the major partners in the delivery of the NABCO Skills and Talent Academy, the NSTA Pathways. So I think that is proper was they're here for us to exchange the MOUs, and then it can also guide the sort of questions you ask. Today we are not dealing with problems, we're dealing with solutions. So I think the boss is here. So we have to and this is ours. So we will take the MOU. Thank you very much for collaborating with us to deliver this. This is the time you smile. Okay, that's fine. And you have our humble NABCO. Thank you very much. So this is Mr. Iluja, the Director General.
Yes, yes, a second, I'll just take a minute of your time. Thank you, my good friend. NABCO was born out of difficulties. People, our graduates, the inability of our graduates to get jobs. And as the director said, the CEO mentioned, not only the difficulties of them getting jobs, but the inability, the capacity. You know, you may have unemployment, some people may be employed, but the skills that they need to pursue those jobs will not be in existence. Kofi Annan Center, our mandate in this center is to build, to bridge the gap between the academy and the industry. We had people, thousands of people who were having difficulties or challenges in entering the job market. Now we have killed that first challenge in the entering the job market. Most of them have even been retained in their previous positions. So it is time for us to build that gap, that skills development, that will enable them to be competitive and now have that competence and capability to access the job market. And that is where we are here to partner with NABCO in terms of skills development, capacity building, so that the gap that existed between this unemployed graduates and labor can now be bridged. So we are hopeful that this exercise is going to help NABCO and the nation to attain this point.
So over to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll take a few round of questions.
I have just two quick questions. Question number one has to do with from where you sit. Do you have any fair idea as to the number of recruits which are likely to be retained at the various workplaces? That's number one, the retention arrangements. How many of your recruits are likely to retain? And secondly, what's your budgetary arrangement, especially when next month the Minister of Finance will be giving the state giving the budget to hire? What's the budgetary arrangement? Are you likely to increase the stipend?
Yes.
My question has to do with the first question he asked, and it's about perceptions that were formed during the early stages of the introduction of NABCO, and we heard from various angles that NABCO was just going to postpone unemployment for 3 years. NABCO has been existing for a year now, and you say that this is a time to reflect. So in the moment of reflection, can you tell us, within the last 15 months, have any of the trainees been able to secure permanent employment? So we can tell whether or not NABCO is just a bridge or is actually providing a future to guarantee secure jobs for the trainees.
Thank you, sir. I'll take a couple more. Yes.
Manuel Todd from Ghana News Agency. My question is concerning the programs to bridge the gap, means that career building programs. Which areas specifically are these trainees going to be taken to, so that you can know the scope of people who would be privileged to go through the program?
I'll take one more. Okay, so let me, yes.
So in relation to that, when does it take effect? I mean, the skill building model, when does it take effect? And then how would it be, would they have to combine it with work, or then there's a specific time for the skill training?
Thank you very much. So let's deal with the number one question, which is exit arrangements. I believe that the narrative has always been that NABCO remains voluntary, and also the fact that you were on the scheme, which is temporary, did not mean that as a trainee you should go to sleep and stop looking for work. Because if you look at the rationale for setting up NABCO, you realize that the aim was always from the point of entry, we saw you exiting into something which was something of your own career choice. And for all of us, the career choice issue remains personal because we have individual preferences, and governments are not in the business of dictating individual or personal careers. What we tried to do was to create a scheme that assisted that process so that it was easier for our graduates who could not gain access to be able to find access to the labor market, thereby guaranteeing them the security and the clarity of thought or peace of mind to be able to think clearly about what they wanted to do. The majority of them have been deployed to public sector roles, and you realize that from the early days of the deployment, what we got done was to do a job impact assessment on various MDs, ministries, departments, and agencies, the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. And across the country, what happened was we had 100,000 places we required, but job vacancies that were declared were way in excess of 150,000. But we had to, of course, prioritize based on our modules. And so, right from the word go, there was actually some need for workforce. As to what type of workforce, that had to be dictated by those who were in the recruitment business and those who were the agencies. And so they accepted a lot of these NABCO trainees to fill those roles that they had profiled within their organizations. And so for us, right from the days of deployment, we felt that it was now the NABCO trainees themselves who had to justify themselves and acquit themselves well by being very diligent and dedicated to work, which is why we set them the KPIs of knowledge, punctuality, and integrity, so that they would impress the same employers who had found those roles for them within the organizations enough to be able to offer them opportunities for permanent employment. True to that, and that fits into a question that was asked later, close to 11,000 of them from existing data have exited the scheme already, mostly retained in their current roles that they have acquired in NABCO. If you look at the recruitment under Ghana Education Service, for example, the limited recruitment, a chunk of those under Educate Ghana got places. If you look at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture recruitment for extension services and the like, we had a lot of our NABCO trainees gaining employment into local government service and other avenues or recruitments that have taken place over the period, including the NIA, National Identification Authority. And so we foresee that the majority of these trainees are likely to gain retention in their current roles. And that is only natural because the need was felt. They are currently fulfilling that need. And with the appropriate training and hand-holding and the sort of partnership that we structured with the module implementation partners, we believe that we will gain that as an exit arrangement. And of course, the others still prevail, self-employment or entrepreneurship, and then people who want to pursue federal aid. Budgets. So I'm sure you realize that for the first time we've had a first round of questions and the sustainability question hasn't come up. Right? The first thing we always get is how sustainable is the program? And I'm sure that it's based on the evidence that the sustainability question, as we always suggested, was based on the financial component. People believing that by the sheer scale of the program, it was impossible to fund a scheme such as the Nation Builders Code. That has not borne out because the government was committed to this and fully budgeted in provision funding for it. So over the past 12 months, consistently, you've heard that NABCO trainees get paid, except for the few individuals who have had technical issues, which we continue to work through. As far as the budget for 2020, which is what you're asking, you want me to preempt the Minister's budget statement? It's the President's call, I cannot preempt that. But of course, we fully funded for all the components of the program, the work and the learning. So the trainees get their stipends, we get some support to prepare them as a workforce, but also, of course, administration. We are an organization that has 260 district offices and then 16 regional. Of course, we're currently operating in the 10 regions, but 16 regions as well. So administrative costs, and all of that is fully funded by the budget. Perceptions. So this is a very interesting question because the whole idea, and I said in the early days in the public conversations around what people thought the scheme was all about. So we faced with unemployment, a definite arrangement has been put in place to immediately deal with 100,000 practically direct intervention to deal with 100,000 of tertiary graduates. And then came the suspicion that for the fact that we haven't had something on this scale, it was likely to either fail or it wouldn't deliver on its own objective of making sure that people will come through this temporarily and then exit into something permanent. And I've given the statistic. I mean, so far what we have is over 11,000 of them have exited the scheme already, which tells you the scheme is working. Now, for us, we believe that now that we're going to have the full complement of the program, which is the learning bit in addition to the work placement, we believe that it will scale up the rate of exit from the scheme because many more people will feel more empowered to seek other opportunities elsewhere once they've been exposed to the learning programs. So Emmanuel asked the question about the sort of areas. So I made the point about deficits. So it's a very interesting argument that you will have this constant banter between either academia saying that we don't accept the accusation from labor that there are deficits from the academic content. That is the reason these tertiary graduates are unemployed. And then on the other side as well, you're producing something we can't consume. We don't get involved with that. We have 100,000 tertiary graduates. We recognize there's a problem, we try to solve the problem. We're created to solve the problem. And so every NABCO trainee you will encounter, we deliberately decided to interview all 146,968 applicants for a reason. And the feedback we got from doing that suggested that over 50% of them, NABCO was their very first interview experience. They had never had an interview experience. And so that already gave us an indication. If it was a measure or a skills health check, it gave us an indication that there was the need to look at the sort of issues that kept the tertiary graduates from employment. So issues to do with even basic things like the composition of their CVs or the networking or the ability to communicate or brand themselves effectively. So all the essential soft skills that are required, but also you look at the very technical bits in terms of the work readiness, the fact that if you're in the workplace, there are certain work ethics that you have to apply yourself to. So you don't just join an employment and not want to follow the rules but bring your own regulations or rules from home. Nobody does that. And so all these preparations are being done. But as well as that, we're trying to build value addition onto their base qualifications. So there are a lot of these people currently working in organizations that is not related to their entry qualifications. And the partnership with the Kofi Annan Center is to give them a wider choice to look at future potential careers where they can pursue certain learning leading to an extra qualification so that they can exit it. So, for example, there's a big drive towards the real industry in our country, but also the aluminium industry, or even if you look at the automotive industry. We want to make sure that not less than 5,000 of our NABCO trainees, for example, gain a lot of training so that by the time a year from today or whenever the likes of Toyota and the big manufacturers come into our country, our tertiary graduates should be qualified and ready as a workforce to exploit those opportunities. And that is the sort of vision that leads schemes such as the Nation Builders Corps, thanks to His Excellency the President. So it's a whole composite thing, not just seeking to do things in isolated fashion. And so the preparation is all encompassing, not just of the soft skills. As to when, that was the question. So from the launch of the NABCO Skills and Talent Academy by His Excellency the President on the first anniversary, our trainees, just like we did the NABCO portal on May Day, can get access to log on, and then the registration period for the current courses that we have started from November, and the Kofi Annan teams, they are also here. And as for the training, it's 2 levels. The first is the virtual, which takes over 65% of their time, close to 70 is virtual. The 30% is just the usual direct or face-to-face interactions in recognition of some communities or areas having difficulty in accessing content due to variations in internet distribution. And so we have partnerships across, including that of Kofi Annan Center, with centers we call designated learning centers, which are physical spaces in all the regions that our trainees can go and access the content that is being delivered virtually as well. You want to make it further?
Yes. On the part of retention, I think I can speak for my center and I need to be honest. Through the NABCO process, we've been able to engage or to start our project and Sudan. We've engaged NABCO members with the intention of retaining them. Currently, we've included them in our budget with the hope that we'll regularize them. And I think that's what most of my colleagues in the public service are doing. We are just at the budget stage. So most of my colleagues in the public sector, in the preparation of their budget, have included it as part of the compensation. That is the retention plan. So I think after probably next year when the budget is run, I will be able to tell how many NABCO companies have been retained. So there is an exit plan for this people. When they come with a good attitude and the skills that we give them, that will really enable the companies, the organizations to engage them full time. I think most of them are showing good signs of being retained.
Any more issues on the NSTA policy?
Additional regions. I want to find out whether you have a specific package for those who may like to go into the private sector or self-employed once the public sector cannot answer.
So I'll address this. For those who have followed NABCO consistently, NABCO operates 7 modules. One of the major ones is Enterprise Ghana. It's a private sector driven module, and the aim module is that there will be a lot of our trainees who, even while on the program, will want to start their businesses because they came requiring a certain support. In fact, there is a case I should highlight of a trainee, struggling to recall which district, who joined the NABCO with the belief that he could set up his business. Currently, he's registered his company in the freight forwarding because he was deployed to the ports, and based on the experiences that he's had at the port, decided that he will set up his company. He's registered the company and has now come back to NABCO to register as a module implementation partner to recruit 10 of his colleagues to help in his business. You see what I mean? So that is the sort of mindset we want to encourage in terms of the self-employed. So this guy is being clever. Immediately he's going to get 700 by 10 gives you what? 7,000 Ghana cedis investment every month, which he cannot afford because we still pay him 700 Ghana cedis a month as a NABCO trainee. But he wants to immediately transition into self-employment to recruit his colleagues. And he hopes that by the end of the process, by the time the 36 months is here, they would have grown the business so they can employ more. So that's just an isolated example. But the vast majority of them, our belief is that the enterprise dimension was always to end in the final 6 months of the NABCO scheme in preparing them for the exit, for them to join the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan, NEIP, among other organizations such as the Business Development Ministry, so that they can assist them. I'm sure you see bits and pieces happening in terms of support given to young entrepreneurs who are trying to. So that is the sort of arrangement. But within NABCO itself, you already can see that there are, the groups are starting to segregate. Those trying to get into self-employment, we have some that have already proceeded. In fact, what the Director General did not say was that his organization has already found scholarships for people on NABCO, some to study in China, others to study in India. In fact, I have a young colleague who is here. Michael joined us as a NABCO trainee at the AMA. And then we created a call for IT guys, and because I realized the work he was doing in managing nearly 7,000 people at the Accra Metro, I poached him from the Accra Metro to offer him some kind of mentorship. He joined us for 2 weeks to solve a problem at the NABCO headquarters, and I decided to retain him. The first thing we did was to seek scholarship. We got a scholarship for him on data, big data, right? And I think that at the celebration, they even got him to make a statement because he had excelled so well. And currently, he is our IT officer at the NABCO. So you can see the sort of value addition that is happening. And if you look around, that is how we have a very small workforce that is managing the 100,000 because we're trying to grow ourselves as we try to build the nation. And that is the sort of spirit that we work with here at the nation building. We done? Thank you very much. Catch your fish. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So you are all officially invited, warmly invited to join the president of PhD. We look forward to welcoming you. Have a good day.